Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Deborah Thompson, and I am a veterinarian, so an animal doctor. And I'm going to be talking to you about something called One Health. That's a concept that's very important for both you, me, as well as the rest of the world. So we're going to go over that together. And Miss Vanessa is joining me, and she's going to be calling on both of you to answer some questions. Okay? So, and then Miss Bailey is joining from Mississippi in the United States. And she can be assisting too if we need to and if you would like. Okay, great. So the lesson is called Outbreak, One World, One Health. And what we are going to be talking about pretty much are 5 different terms. First one is called One Health. Second one is species. Third one is zoonotic disease. Fourth is mutations. And fifth is vaccines. Let's get started with what is One Health. Put simply, One Health is the connection between animal health, human health, and environmental health. Lucas or Valero, raise your hand or turn on your screen if you can tell me what is the environment. Can you give me an example of what's in your environment right now?
I think environment it's has a nature feel.
Yeah, nature. Nature can definitely be a part of the environment. Excellent. Anything to add, Lucas?
What was the question again? I like that.
The environment. What is in your environment right now?
I think it's hard to say because some rivers are very dirty, some not.
Yeah, excellent point. And we're going to be talking about that soon. Thank you so much for bringing that up. So pretty much environment is your surroundings, right? Right now I'm indoors. I'm in an indoor environment. I have cats near me and they're a part of my environment. I have a desk in front of me, that's in my environment. Outside, I see trees, so that's in my environment. And so some people consider plant health as included in environmental health. Same thing with water, right? Clean water is considered under environmental health for some people. So One Health is the connection between human health, animal health, and environmental health. I'm going to be asking you to remember those 3 components later on, okay? So remember those 3, and I'll be asking you later. What is a species? So a species is a living thing that can only make babies with similar living things. So say for instance, like a dog and a cat, right? Those are 2 different species because a dog and a cat coming together, they cannot make babies. But 2 cats can make kittens and 2 dogs can make puppies. So those are 2 different species. If you can both see the screen, how many species do you think are in this picture?
2.
2. Can you name them?
Oh, 3, because there is a people and 2 dogs.
Okay, good. So you actually just named 2 species, so dogs. So yes, there are 2 individual dogs, but they're of the same species. And then you said a human, and that is wonderful. But look in the background. There's at least 1 species of trees. There's at least 1 species of a grass. So there's at least 4 species in this picture. How about this next picture?
1.
1, perfect. And the next picture?
8.
A bunch, right? So 1 species here, it's a dog, okay? at least one species of a tree, and at least one species of some grass. So at least 3 is the answer. Good job. Next, we're going to talk about a zoonotic disease. A zoonotic disease is an illness caused by a germ that can jump between different species. Okay. Do you have an example of a zoonotic disease that you've heard of? Have you ever heard of a disease that can come from an animal into people, or reverse, from people to animals?
I don't know.
It's okay. There are a few examples, like rabies. Have you both heard of rabies before?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes the flu, the influenza virus, can also mutate and jump between different species, and we're going to go into that a little bit later on. And also this virus that's going around the world called the novel coronavirus, or SARS-CoV-2, that causes the COVID-19 pandemic. That is thought by many, many scientists to have originated in animals. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But the reason why I'm bringing up zoonotic disease is because it's one of the ways that it's actually the majority of human, we call infectious diseases, diseases that can be shared between people. It's one of the most common ways that people can get a disease, is from having it jump from animals. So really interesting and very important to learn about and understand. The way to remember zoonotic disease is that you see the word zoo in it. Well, in a zoo, there's not just one species, right? There are many species. And so a zoonotic disease is a disease shared between a lot of different species. Good? Awesome. Second to last, we're going to talk about a mutation. A mutation simply is change. Change is mutation, mutation is change. Change can be good, change could be not so good. A mutation can strengthen a virus, it can weaken a virus, or it can just change the virus and not change the strength. You can see mutations in plants. Okay, look at this piece of strawberry. My goodness, that's not typical, right? This is a pear. And then what's the mutation in this kitten? What do you see?
There is more fingers.
More fingers, exactly. And so mutations can happen in plants, animals, people, and viruses. Has anybody heard the term vaccine before?
Yes.
Can you tell me, yeah, can you tell me what's the point? What's the purpose of a vaccine? Yeah.
The medicine that can help you like fight sickness.
Good answer. So just a little adjustment to that. So a vaccine, you're right, Lucas, is that it's meant to help make the body stronger so that you can fight a germ, okay? But a vaccine is given before that person or that animal or whoever gets that vaccine sees that germ. So it's like training your body to fight. A medication is given after you're already sick from that germ. So when it comes to the flu shot, for instance, the flu vaccine, that's each year, you're supposed to give it or get it while you're healthy and not when you already have the flu. So a vaccine is meant to make sure that your body is as strong as possible so that you can fight that particular germ. Okay, so here's my question for you. What are the 3 parts of One Health?
There is a vaccine, there is mutation, and I forgot the name of first one.
That's totally fine, Valero, no problem. So it's good that you remember the different terms in the lesson, so that's excellent. But remember that very early on slide with the 3 circles? There were 3 parts, 3 circles with different parts in there, and it talked about One Health. So it was environmental health, animal health, and human health, right? And so One Health is a combination. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about environmental health right now. This is a beautiful forest, right? All the trees are spread out really nicely, all the animals are spread out nicely, and they're not competing for food or shelter. It's a great thing, but something changes. What changes?
The peoples came to forest and destroy it.
Yeah, exactly. So they're chopping down these trees because they need to build homes, they have to have fire, right?
Right.
But what happens to these animals? Where are they going?
Fly or run away?
Yeah. Where are they running to? They're going to a smaller forest, right? Or at least they're trying. So when you're in a smaller forest, but you still need to live, you have to find shelter, you have to find food, you have to compete more. And when you compete more, there's more stress. And when there's more stress, you can have more signs of illness or of disease. And that can be a big problem because look, some of these animals are being forced out of the forest because they simply can't compete. And they're going near people. Now, do you remember what I said about a zoonotic disease? Do you remember that term? What that means?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, what does that mean and why is that important here?
I will think why it is important there.
Well, what's the definition? Do you remember what a zoonotic disease means?
That means that something from one animal came to other.
Yeah, exactly. It's a germ that can be shared between different species, right? And look
Yes.
at the situation. These animals are not necessarily meant to be right near people, right? But they're being forced to be near people because people are taking up the space of the animals where they used to live. So there's increased chance and risk of a germ that's hopping between different species. Now, look what happens in this next example. What changed?
More people come into forest.
Yeah, exactly. More people are coming to the forest. And where are the animals going?
Run and fly away.
They're trying, right? They're trying to make a living. So they're either crammed in this small forest where there's more stress, or they're forced out and they're living near people. And that's a concern for human health because of what we just said about zoonotic diseases. Does that make sense so far, Lucas?
Yes.
Perfect. So let's take this one step farther. So say, for instance, because people are cutting down more trees, or they're contaminating the water with chemicals, or there is climate change, one reason or another, the birds leave. Either the birds go extinct or the birds go to another forest. Now,
I think I don't know.
it's okay. So remember this picture and tell me what changes in the next picture. Okay, ready? So when the birds leave, there are going to be 5 things that change. Do you see any changes? Between
There is changes.
Yeah, what do you see?
I think when the forest became very small, the animals start to live with people.
Exactly, exactly. So the animals are leaving the really, really small forest. When the birds leave, there are less trees. Why do you think when birds are leaving, there could be less trees?
I don't know.
What do birds eat?
They
Um,
see
Seeds, perfect. Fruits, right? And so they could act as pollinators, they can act as seed distributors. So they are one of the types of animals that is responsible for getting more plants growing, right? So when birds are leaving, there could be less trees. Now, other
yeah.
types of birds eat something else. Think of like a hawk, an eagle, an owl. What do those birds eat?
Other
rodents.
birds.
Say it again. Lucas?
Rodents.
Rodents. Yes. And now comparing this to this, are there more or less mice?
I think there is more.
More mice. Why are there more mice when birds leave?
Because some birds eat mice.
Exactly. And when the predator, right, the animal that eats the other one, eats the prey. So when the predator leaves, the prey population goes up. There's another predator of mice on this slide. Can you see? Can you name it?
A wolf.
A wolf, a fox, exactly. So what happens when the mouse population goes up, what happens to the wolf or the fox population?
They grows up too
Exactly. So
because
look at
there
all
is
those
more food.
changes. Sorry? So we got them all. Look at all those changes with just the birds leaving. There are less trees, there are more mice, more foxes, and more wild animals in human areas. And that's why we're talking about One Health. Again, what are the three components of One Health?
There is a human health, animal health, and environment health.
Excellent. And so when it comes to this virus that's going around the world, scientists think that, it really comes down to how we treat our environment. And that's what's causing the transmission or the sharing of the disease between animals and humans, and back from humans to animals. That's possible as well. So let's go through it one more time. The environment can be damaged, right? Animals can be really stressed out when there's a smaller space in the forest for them. And sometimes animals carry germs that they can live with and it's not a big deal. But that germ can hop into another species, and that can be a big deal for that other species. Lastly, people are living in areas where animals used to live, right? It's as simple as that. Sometimes people have to eat wild animals because they have no other source of protein for their diet. Some people eat wild animals because they think it's fancy. Either way, there's an increased risk of diseases and germs shared. Some germs are zoonotic, and some viruses and bacteria, and just like plants and humans, animals, there could be mutations. And what did I say before about mutations? Mutation means change, right? So again, what is a zoonotic disease? Who can explain that to me?
I can explain zoonotic disease that something from one animal will come to human or come to other animal.
Excellent, excellent. Yep. And what is a mutation, Lucas?
It's
I think that's when something changes in the nature. Mutation could be good and bad.
Yeah, yeah. Do you agree with that, Lucas? Yeah. Okay, and mutations can happen by accident, right? They can happen in people, plants, animals, viruses, and even more things. But the reason why we're talking about this SARS-CoV-2 virus, the novel coronavirus, today is because it can mutate and it's zoonotic. People think that it came originally from animals. So now we're going to put on our science hats and we're going to work with models. And models is just a really nice way to pretend that you are working with real life, but you're just pretending. And we can try to predict the future. We can try to prevent problems from happening in the future. And we can better understand things that we simply cannot see for ourselves with our own eyes. Let's use a model sentence to demonstrate a mutation.
Okay.
And so if I can ask maybe Bailey, Miss Bailey, if you can please try to not mutate this sentence, okay, not change this sentence, but it's going to be honestly very difficult. Let's try it. So can you say this sentence 5 times fast?
A black bug beat a big black bear.
Okay, do it 4 more times, Valero.
Okay, a black bug beat a big black bear. A black bug beat a big black bear. For me, it's hard.
It's really hard. Bailey, do you want to try?
Sure. A black bug bit a big black bear. A black bug bit a big black bear. A black bug bit a big black bear. A black bug bit a big black bear.
That was pretty good. And I heard a few mutations in Valero's. Lucas, do you want to try?
A black bug bit a big black bear. A black bug bit a big black bear. A black bug bit a big black bear.
Yeah, great. So I only heard 2 mutations out of those 3 sentences. Good job. Honestly, if I said it just once, I'd mess up like 5 times. So yes, it's very hard. And sometimes mutations are done by accident, right? They're really hard to predict. And it's just an example. I don't know if you've learned about DNA or RNA or anything like that in the cell yet, but this is just an example of how in nature there's supposed to be a message sent inside the body, but there's an accident that happens. There's a confusion. There's like a missed, in this example, a missed letter or a switched letter, or like whenever I say this, I say black blug, right? And I add an L, and that could be an example of a mutation, right? A change. Okay. Now, when it comes to the flu virus in particular, remember I said earlier that the flu virus, or influenza is called, that can mutate quite a bit. And one of the ways it can mutate is by having one virus find another virus inside of a body, and then they combine and make a whole new virus. Now, when it comes to this body, it could be a pig, and this happens with swine flu, if you've heard of that. It can happen in other species, but keep in mind that when it comes to bats, and people say, oh, well, this virus, this coronavirus, the SARS-CoV-2 is going around the world because of bats. We should just get rid of all of the bats. Why is that a big problem? Why are bats so important?
I don't know.
I don't know too.
Yeah, that's totally fine. So bats eat insects that can carry diseases like malaria, right? You don't want any of that. Insects that carry Zika, you don't want any of that. So bats eat those types of insects. They can also work as pollinators. so they can eat fruit. And look, while this bat is eating from a plant, it has pollen all over its face. And so when this bat goes to another tree or another plant, then it can bring that other plant's pollen to a new plant. And therefore, there could be more trees. There are actually a few types of bats that have, they're called a keystone species. It's a fancy way to just say that if you lose bats, the entire ecosystem, the entire environment just shuts down. Everything disappears. That's how important bats are. So even though, yes, bats can sometimes carry some diseases, we cannot lose bats. They are so important. So what do we do instead? We have to respect the distance between wild animals and ourselves. So let's go back to that 2 viruses mutating into 1 with an example and a competition. We're going to start with a sentence. Once upon a time, there was an extremely blank blank, that blank to blank blank and blank. What I'm going to show you is a red virus and a red sentence. Once upon a time, there was an extremely happy rabbit that loved to eat carrots and bananas. Okay, now let's see the blue sentence. Once upon a time, there was an extremely sneaky lion that roared to scare friends and neighbors. Okay, so these are 2 sentences by themselves. Yeah, sure, they can make sense. They're kind of funny, but whatever, they work. What happens when we combine them and make purple sentences? Once upon a time, there was an extremely happy lion that loved to scare carrots and neighbors. Did that strengthen the message, weaken the message, just kind of made it weird? What do you think?
Yeah, I made it weird.
Made it weird, right? Let's look at this next mutation. Once upon a time, there was an extremely sneaky rabbit that roared to eat friends and bananas. Now, was that better or worse or just bizarre, weird? Weird, yeah. So for our next activity, what we're going to do, actually, I know that Lucas, you're on the phone, so maybe what we should do is maybe Vanessa and Bailey, you can both do a fill in the blank for this. And then what we can do is look in the chat box and combine those 2 sentences. Are you both okay with that, Vanessa and Bailey?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And then Valero, if you could be the person to combine, can you see the chat box?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what you can do is, so Vanessa and Bailey, they're going to fill in these blanks with their own words. And then Valero, you can do like this word from Vanessa, this word from Bailey, this word from Vanessa, this word from Bailey. Okay, and see if it strengthens the message, weakens the message, or just makes it weird. Okay, let's see. Let me know when you guys are ready. Okay, so I see Vanessa's is up.
Yes.
And Bailey's is going to be up too shortly. Okay, Valero, go for it.
Once upon a time, there was a man that ate that had danced for G.
Yeah, doesn't really make so much sense. Yeah, Lucas, do you want to try another combination of those two sentences?
Okay. Once upon a time, there was a cow that danced the grass for fun.
You said once upon a time there was a cow that danced the grass for fun. Maybe that would work. Just for the benefit of everybody, in case you cannot read the chat, it's Vanessa's sentence was once upon a time there was a man that danced the jig for fun, and Bailey's was once upon a time there was a cow that ate the grass for days. So comparing those original sentences to the mutated ones, let's take a vote. Do you think that the mutations helped the sentence or weakened the sentence?
I don't think they helped the sentence.
I don't think so either. Exactly. So it's the same thing with a mutation in a virus, right? Thank you very much, Vanessa and Bailey. But same thing goes with a mutation in a virus. It can strengthen a virus, it can weaken a virus. It can just simply change a virus and not be a big deal. So let's talk about how we can protect ourselves today from the virus that causes COVID-19. Now, the three components of One Health, animal health, human health, and environmental health. Who can tell me maybe one or two things that you can do today to protect yourself and your family?
Wash my hands.
Good. For how long? How long do you wash your hands with soap and water?
Much time.
Yeah, at least 20 seconds. So you can sing happy birthday twice. You can sing the ABCs, for instance, to at least get you to 20 seconds washing your hands. Good. Anything else to add, Lucas?
Wear a mask, like.
Wear a mask. Yeah. Wear a mask if you're sick, wear your mask if you're outside, right? Because even though we cannot see the germs, scientists know that the germs can still spread, right? From your mouth, from your nose, and it can get into your eyes, your nose, your mouth. So unless you have very clean hands, do not touch your eyes, nose, or mouth. Good. So we covered washing hands for at least 20 seconds. Cover your sneeze and cough with your elbow, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more later on. If you use a tissue, throw out the tissue in a lined trash can and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap and water. Again, don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth with dirty hands. Make sure that the surroundings, your environment, stays clean, right? And make sure that you keep your distance if you are sick, okay? Keep your distance from people other than your family until you're told otherwise that you're okay to do something else. Okay, so this is a fantastic video I wanted to share with you. These two scientists are using food coloring to illustrate how far a sneeze can travel, and as well as how to protect others from your sneeze. So don't do this at home, okay? But just watch it and tell me what you learned.
That's one. Yeah. Oh, there's another one coming. For each style, they're going to unleash a sample of 3 sneezes. Oh, it looks horrible, doesn't it? I look like a vampire. Ah! Adam's face is a picture, but it's the canvas that tells the real story. I see spots up to 8 feet away, dude.
Yeah, it did spread quite a lot, but there's a lot of markings here. So I'd say single hand, not so good.
Yeah, not so good. Not so good. And then some. Even with his hand directly in front of the oncoming sneeze, Adam can't begin to contain the explosion.
Now, I'm pretty clear sneezing into your hand is meant as a courtesy to those around you to keep from spreading your germs onto them. And as far as I can see, it's quite effective at doing exactly the opposite. I noticed there's almost no red dye on me at all, and crap loads all around me. If I was on a subway, I'm Typhoid Mary.
With the hand getting the thumbs down, can the elbow do any better? To find out, it's over to Jamie, and he'll be sneezing in green.
Now, we wait for the sneeze to take effect on Jamie's Hooja nose. Slowly, it irritates the cilia inside.
And with the cilia salivating, three sneezes later, and the results are very impressive.
Yeah, I see only 2 droplets and 1 on your shoe, and let's look at your elbow hair. That's totally localized to you, man.
And you know what? It's all on my arm and not on my hand, so I'm not as likely to spread it around.
Yeah, doubly effective.
Hands down, the elbow is a highly effective technique, with virtually the entire sneeze contained on each of Jamie's sneezes. But can the humble hanky do better still? Well, it's back to Adam, and for this final test, he's sneezing in blue.
How do we do? I see a tiny, 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 tiny dot of blue there.
At first, it seems like the hanky may be victorious, until
I see some on the hanky.
And look, it's penetrated all the way to both sides.
It's penetrated both sides, and perhaps most damningly, it's on my hands, ready to spread to the next person whose hand I shake.
the sneeze seeped through the hanky, contaminating Adam's hand, making it a pretty poor technique. And it gets worse.
Let me make one more thing clear about this hanky I'm holding here. Imagine, achoo, you sneeze in it all day long. You keep on putting it in your pocket, pulling it back out, giving people change from your pocket, handing them your pen, handing them your phone, talking on your phone, spreading germs. Yeah, it's not just a Rorschach test, it's a petri dish.
Okay. So anything that you see that you learned or surprised you?
I see they have they sneezing. If in first try they sneezing like always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And second try they sneezing into their hand. And in third try they sneezing into a paper.
Yeah. So they used their hands, right? Their elbow, and then a tissue. And so it seems like the elbow works the best. But I have a question for you. If you sneeze, achoo, 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 but then you fold your hand, you fold your arms, what happens? After you sneeze like this and then you fold your arms, you're contaminating this other hand, right?
Right.
So what do you need to do after that?
Wash hands.
Wash your hands. For how long?
20 seconds.
At least 20 seconds. Perfect. So now, right now, we already know how we can protect ourselves today. Let's talk about how can we, as a collective, people on the planet, protect ourselves in the future. So the 3 parts of One Health, who can tell me? What are the 3 parts of One Health?
Environment health, animal health, and human health.
Excellent, thank you. And so right now, scientists around the world, we're working towards one thing, right? They're working towards making a vaccine so that we can stay protected and make sure that people are not going to get sick from this germ in the future. And tell me, do you remember, is a vaccine given before somebody's sick or after somebody's sick?
Before.
Before, why?
Because vaccine make you ready for the infection.
Yeah, it makes your body stronger. That's the point of it. It's supposed to challenge your body so that you can build up what we call immunity, protection for it. So there are scientists working throughout the world, people working with viruses, with the immune system. There are human doctors, there are veterinarians. People from so many different backgrounds are coming together to work towards one goal. And that's what is called the One Health approach. It's important to stay away from wild animals, right? Stay away from animals because we can give them germs, they can give us germs. And it's important to rebuild the forests, right? And improve the health of the environment, because ultimately, if the environment is suffering, then how does that affect animal health and our health? Right? How is that related? So again, we covered vaccines, so good job, Valero. If you want to play some games online, and if some parents are listening, you're welcome to go to e-bug.eu. It's a website out of Public Health England that has some really great games about teaching students about how diseases and germs are spread. And I just wanted to thank you all for your great attention and wonderful participation and answering questions.
Thank you.
Of course, my pleasure. Well, I hope you both have a fantastic day.
You too.